Welcome to the Online Success Journey Podcast, your opportunity to discover and learn from entrepreneurs like yourself. This is not your typical podcast, but a place where you can get the real story and find out how real people encounter speed bumps and detours, but journey through to find success. Now here's your host for the Online Success Journey Podcast, Patience.
Hello everyone and welcome to Online Success Journey. This is episode 174. Are you ready to join the clan? Today we have Michelle L. Evans, who walked away from her global marketing strategy role at Microsoft in 2012 after a successful 16-year corporate career spanning many industries, and now working with a fantastic community of business owners, helping them go from simply surviving to success. Using her 20 years plus of successful marketing experience, she helps her clients create income-producing, client-generating, stress-reducing marketing funnel. Hello, Michelle.
Hello, Patience. Thanks so much for having me on.
Thank you for coming. I know the clan here is anxious to hear your story, so let's get started with the basics. Can you tell my clan a little bit about your background, about what you did before you started your own online business?
Sure. Well, I have to be really honest with you, Patience. I wanted to have a business forever. Like ever since I was a little kid, I wanted my own business. And I went to university and I graduated with a degree in business. But in my mind, you had to have millions and millions of dollars to start a business. For some reason, I just never thought about going out on my own. So I went into the corporate world. And I always had like this little nagging feeling that I needed to be in my own business. But for 16 years, I was in the corporate world until it became just unbearable to be there anymore. Like I just had all of these gut pulls to go out on my own. And I had an incident at work where I had my third child, my son, in June of 2011, and I won this huge award at Microsoft, and I went in on my maternity leave, and I had lunch with the chief marketing officer for Microsoft, and then I went and I had my review with my boss. And remember, like I had been wanting my own business for years and years and years, but I had come up with every excuse under the sun about why now wasn't the time, why I wasn't ready, blah, 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 blah. And I had this meeting with my boss, and he's like, Michelle, you've been great. You've been one of my high performers, but because you're on maternity leave, next year I'm not supporting that. And I was just like, what? I always say if I was a cartoon character, I would have had steam coming out of my ears. My face would have been like on fire. I was so angry. And I went home that night and I was like, okay, enough with the excuses. It is time to open my business. And I did. Now, I didn't leave my job that day. Better sense prevailed, and I laid some groundwork. But that happened in August of 2011, and I went full-time into my business in January of 2012. And it was just, it's been a fun yet crazy at times road ever since then. And I always look back on that day and I think how angry I was at that moment, but I had this opportunity to make a choice. Do I want to keep doing the, seemingly safe thing of sticking with a job, or do I want to finally pay attention to these gut hits that I'm getting where I need to go out on my own? And I'm so glad that I paid attention. And I'm actually glad that boss did that to me because it was actually the kick in the butt I needed.
Wow. What a journey, what a background. Yes, you had these experiences and somebody to say, no, next time we are not going to support you. By the way, what did he mean that next time is not going to support you? You have to pay your own maternity leave. So that means you shouldn't have any more children if you're going to work for that company.
I know. It was, I worked with and for some people at Microsoft who were amazing and would be so supportive. And I worked with others like this guy who were married to their job and they just saw anybody taking vacation or personal leave as, I don't know, some sign that you weren't committed. And, at the time I was angry with him, but honestly, not even probably 5 months after I left, we were friends because I was so thankful that he had done that, because it was that like that moment that I needed to make a decision instead of just continuing on with the seemingly easy path of just staying in my job.
Maybe that's what you need from your boss or maybe your parents or your partner. I don't know, but it worked for you. I don't know if
Yeah.
it will work for everyone. Do you guarantee it?
Yeah, I wouldn't suggest like having a baby just to have that conversation because that comes with a whole other.
You are
Yeah.
brave. Yeah, well done. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. What is the most dangerous belief an online entrepreneur can have?
I think that one of the most dangerous beliefs that somebody who wants to have their own business, especially in the online space where there's so many people, I won't say lying, but kind of putting on the good face, right? The most dangerous thing is to stop trusting yourself and to look to others as the only way to build your business. And let me just give you a story about why I say that, Patience, because this actually comes from my own experience in my business. So back in 2015, I had success in my business. Like I was making great money, but I felt like I wasn't growing as fast as I wanted to grow. And so I decided to join a mastermind. And this mastermind was led by a coach who had scaled her business to well over 7 figures a year. She was multiple 7 figures. And I was like, okay, I need to figure out, like, I need to join this mastermind so that I can learn from her, because clearly she knows something I don't. I hadn't made 7 figures at that time. And I was like, I want to be like this. Like, I want to understand what her path to success is and how I can make that work for me. So I joined this mastermind. It was $30,000 a year, plus we had to travel all over the place. It was a really expensive proposition. And I got in there, and what I found is that this person had a belief about business and a belief about sales that was so not in line with who I was. But because I had basically given my power away and said, oh, I want to learn everything I can from you and I want to implement exactly as you say, I was like, even though this doesn't feel right to me, I'm just going to do it. And, looking back and describing it like this, it sounds so crazy. Like, why would I do something that didn't feel right? Why would I follow somebody where once I got behind the scenes, I was like, ooh, that's not what I want. And the truth is that at that moment, I was just bought into her story of success. And I was like, okay, well, if that's what it takes to be successful, I guess I just need to figure out how to do that. And the truth is that there's a lot of paths to success. And her approach, which was basically paying a ton of money to get up on as many stages as you can and to go to as many events as you can, to get as many people's business cards as you can, and then just call them and call them and call them and call them and sell them. That is not an approach that will ever work for me. I tried it. I went to over 50 events in a 9-month period of time. And I was traveling and I was talking and I was calling, and I got no sales from that. Thankfully, I already had clients. Like, I wasn't operating on nothing. But from all of that work, all of that money, all of that time, I was making no extra money. In fact, I was going backwards fast because it was costing me so much. And one day I woke up and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I cannot keep calling people from these events that I'm going to and trying to sell them. I'm not her. I'm not a person who's going to be manipulative, quite frankly. And I was like, you know what? I just need to go back to my marketing roots, and I just need to trust that I can do this myself. And I rolled out a very simple marketing funnel, so simple. Like, it was like 4 emails maybe, and a PDF and an invite to get on the phone with me. And within 3 weeks, I had sold over $60,000 worth of client business. And I never looked back. I didn't finish out that mastermind. I mean, I paid all my money, but I didn't go to any more because I was like, that is not my road to success. I need to find the road to success that's aligned with me, with my skills, with my personality, and with how I like to work.
What a story. So that shows you well, she was successful, but you didn't know how hard she was working. But when you went there in that mastermind and everyone you met, you traveled with, were they all following the same strategy?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So there were, she had two groups, and in each group there was 25 people. So 50 of us were doing basically the same thing. And I can tell you that for many of them, it did not work at all.
What was your takeaway from the mastermind groups, and what advice would you give to other people who want to join the mastermind groups?
Yeah, and I think the biggest takeaway here is to make sure that the mentor, number one, has a business that looks like the kind of business you would want. This person, I didn't do that with this person. I was, star struck by her presence on stage, by her stories, by her glitz and glamour. Like I was like, oh my gosh, that's what I need to be. But I didn't do the hard work of saying, but is that really in alignment with who I am? Like, am I going to be up there singing Broadway tunes? No, I can't sing. And you would never see me up there in 5-inch high heels singing Broadway tunes. That would just never be me. And so I think, and not that you can't find a mentor who's different than you, but you have to be really, really clear. And this mentor had, I don't know, I think she had at that time maybe like 8 full-time salespeople who worked for her. And they just had this machine where they were on the phone all day long, making probably more than 1,000 calls a day. And it's just not the business model that I wanted. And also, once I got into it a little more, I realized that they weren't in it for their client success. They were in it for their own success. And so that's not to say that all masterminds are like that. There are some phenomenal people out there who lead masterminds. And I would just say, if you're thinking about joining a mastermind, be sure that whoever's leading it has a business like what you aspire to, or has worked with people who have a business like what you aspire to, and that they'll give you the leeway to be yourself and not try to turn you into a clone of themselves.
I know you moved away from your job because you wanted your own security or maybe your own lifestyle and freedom, but why do you do what you do?
That's a good question. So I've always loved marketing. That's what my degree from college is in. It's what my whole professional time in the corporate world is in. I love marketing. There's something really magical about crawling into your audience's heads and understanding what are their problems and how you can connect with them so that they can figure out, that you're the one to solve them. And that became even more apparent after that mastermind debacle that I had, where I was like, okay, I went 9 months with no new sales. And then I rolled out this super simple marketing funnel and bam, I was sold out basically. I had, 12 clients who were paying me. I had $60,000 in the bank and I had, 6 months worth of more income coming in. And it was just really, really amazing. I was just like, I have been on this feast or famine roller coaster long enough where I have, great months and then horrible months and then great months and then horrible months. And I was like, I just want to be on the great months train. Like, I'm done with the horrible months. And so I started, really backing up and saying, well, what was missing in my business? And it was having a profit engine, basically having something that I could plug people into that would get them ready to have a sales conversation with me or get them ready to buy from me in a way that felt really good to them, where they're like, gosh, Michelle, you totally get me. And I will say, I have calls all the time where people get on the phone and they're like, I heard this podcast of yours, or I read this article that you posted or whatever. And that's exactly my situation. I want to talk about how you can help me do the same thing you talked about. And that is really the beauty of a marketing funnel, is that people pay attention. They feel like, oh, she gets me. This is exactly what I've been looking for. And then when they show up to, a webinar or a sales call or whatever, they're already mostly bought in, and they're just like, is this the right thing for me right now? And I love helping clients figure that out too, because there's, our businesses, your business, my business, anyone's business, we can't stay in business if we don't have clients coming in.
Okay, so why are marketing funnels important to your business?
Yeah, well, it's really the foundation that keeps the engine running. Like, just like this podcast that you're putting together, right? These episodes are out there and they work for you forever. It's not like this information is going to go bad, right? So you can do this work once, and then you can put it into a system where it can keep bringing new clients and new audiences to you. And then if you have a marketing funnel, you can say, okay, are you interested in this next step? Are you interested in this next step? And every step along the way, they say yes. So for me, like with my podcast, I'll have the next step is to take a quiz to find out which marketing funnel is right for you. And then the next step after that is, hey, would you like to show up to a webinar where I'll tell you about how, you can really use this to grow your business? And the next step after that is, do you want to hire me one-on-one, or do you want to join my course? So it's just like all these little steps where people can go, yeah, tell me more. Yeah, tell me more. And it's a really different conversation than trying to like shove your offers down people's throats and they're not ready.
Let's put money aside. How do you know you are successful?
Yeah, when I first started, money was kind of the measure of success, but not so much anymore. My measure of success is being able to step away from my business when my kids get home from school. My measure of success is like today, after we're done with this interview, I'm going to go volunteer up at my kids' school. I do it every single Thursday. My measure of success is, not worrying about paying our bills. My measure of success is, being able to go on vacation and really to buy my time back. And my measure of success is, how successful are my clients? How, and how much am I staying in touch with them? There's nothing I love more than a client that I helped 2 or 3 years ago who we're still in contact, and they still send me, messages every now and again that says, I can't believe it. This marketing funnel is still working for me, or you're not going to believe this great milestone I've met. Like, these are successes to me of the impact I have on others and the freedom that I have in my own life and business.
Can anyone be an entrepreneur, or are some people cut out for it than others?
That's a good question. I think that anyone who has a desire to solve problems for others, and when I say solve problems, I mean, to figure out what people are looking for and to fill that need, right? If you have that ability and the persistence to follow through and figure out how to do it, I think most anyone can be an entrepreneur. But if you need somebody to tell you what to do to actually follow through on stuff, you're probably better off in a job where a boss will oversee what you do. So I think if you have the desire, you can do it. I don't think there's a specific personality trait, but I think it's more about, are you driven to make it work on your own even when it gets hard?
What was your failures in business, and what have you learned from business as a whole?
Yeah, failures. Well, I mean, that mastermind was a giant failure. But, I've had tons of failures along the way. I've had tons of things that don't work out. And just for example, when I first started in my business, so this was back in like 2012, 2013, just like today, everyone was saying, the road to success is all about creating an online course, right? So I had a workshop at that time that I was selling into corporate clients, and it was selling like crazy. And it was selling for between like $8,000 and $14,000. It depends how many people were in it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I could just take this workshop that I'm doing that people love, and I could just put it into an online course and I could sell it and I could make money while I sleep, right? Like that's the dream. And so I did that and I put it up and I was like, to the internet world, ta-da, here it is. And nobody wanted to buy it. Because I had fallen into the trap of build the thing and they will come, instead of find the need and fill that need. And so I thought, I'd already done all the work to find the need. I had this workshop that corporate clients were buying. Well, corporate clients are not the same as people who would be shopping for it on the internet. and it was a really humbling experience to see, all these people talk about the path to success is to roll out this online course, but they left out a lot of stuff. They left out a lot of like, how do you get people interested? How do you test and see if there's a need for this or even a desire for this? How do you, make a little test instead of, working for 9 months behind the scenes, or I don't know, it might have been longer than, I think it took me almost a year to figure out how to put it all together. How do I not waste a whole year of time putting this together if I could find out early on that there really isn't a desire for it, or that I need to have an audience for it or something like that. And so, it's just, again, I bought into this idea that the path to success was somebody else's path, but they left out a lot of the information of how to get that success along the way. And I will say, patients, now I have a course and I've done the groundwork to get an audience and all that stuff. So now that one sells. But it's just really interesting, way back when I was first starting, that I just bought into this idea and did all this work and spent all this money, and then nothing happened.
What is one thing that has contributed to your success?
I think it's my willingness to say, all right, that didn't work. Why didn't that work? Did I not do the work? Is there some skill or some knowledge that I didn't know? Did I not put all the effort that I needed to into, like, what is it that contributed to this not working? And then also being willing to make changes. Like, when I first started my business, I was coaching people on corporate careers. And then after a little bit, I was like, well, I want to switch to coaching people who want to leave their corporate job for a business. And then after a while of doing that, I was like, and that doesn't feel aligned anymore. Now I really need to focus on helping business owners with their marketing. And so just being willing to walk away when it really isn't right anymore, even if there is success, and to roll up my sleeves and say, okay, this is where I'm really going to commit now. I think that's been a really important part of my journey, is being willing to grow and expand and make changes when I need to.
How can we get Facebook ads to work for any business?
Yeah, I love Facebook ads. I really do. I run thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars and euros and all sorts of other things from all my clients all over the place. I will say that they don't work if you don't have a strategy. So people who just like boost a post, or who just throw out an ad without warming up their audience, their ads will not work. And so when people say Facebook ads don't work anymore, I'm like, yeah, they don't work if you don't have a strategy. And you really need to understand the platform. I've been running Facebook ads since 2013, and I've invested a ton of time and money to learn and stay up to date on it. And so over time, my strategies and my approaches on Facebook ads have significantly changed. But I'll tell you right now, Facebook ads are amazing. They've actually never been better, because our targeting abilities and our just being able to really hone in on who we want to get in touch with, and the retargeting and all that stuff has never been better. But if you don't know how to use those tools, and if you don't have a strategy on how you're going to do it, they just don't work.
Okay, do you have a mentor in your business or your coach?
Yeah, over time I've had a number of coaches and mentors that I've hired and worked with. Right now I have a group of peer mentors where we're really supporting one another, and we all have different skills and strengths that we can really pull together. And so that's what I'm working with right now. And I invest in those relationships instead of just outsourcing to a coach, because I'm far enough along now that I have a number of great peers who can be mentors and I can be a mentor back to them. And so we just do more of a peer-to-peer exchange.
How do you juggle being a mom of three and then running your own business?
I am really clear on when I work and when I don't work, and what is a priority and what needs to not be a priority. And so when I'm working, I'm very focused on the work that I'm doing. I'm not messing around, on social media. I'm not messing around on all sorts of stuff. And when I'm with my family, I'm with my family. I'm not sort of juggling both of it. But it does take being really clear on the kind of business that I want. How much money I want to make each month, how many clients I want to take on, how many students are coming through my courses, just all that kind of stuff. And so the juggle is really about being clear of what success looks like to me and how much I want to work. It's also I've gotten to a place in my business where I can hire some help for my own stuff. So I've been able to really hone in on the stuff that only I can do that really brings value. And I've been able to hire other people who can do the other stuff that they love to do, like, my podcast or my blog posts or, uploading things to social media or, helping me write emails or whatever. And so I've been able to take a lot of that busy work that used to bog me down and allow somebody else who loves to do that kind of work to do that, so that I can be freed up to work with my clients and work with my students. And that's what I do.
Yeah, well, a while ago you mentioned now you work with your own peers or who are mentors and you mentor them. What is the most valuable thing your peers has told you?
I don't know if I can narrow it down to one most valuable thing, but the most valuable thing I get from these, handful of really, really valuable people to me is that they know me and they know my history and they know the goals that I have and they know how I approach things. So they're not trying to make me, a duplicate of them, but they also are willing to tell me, the hard truths or the uncomfortable things. So if I am, complaining about something or whining about something, and they'll just be like, wait, didn't you say that this was your goal? Like they won't let me get away with stuff and I won't let them get away with stuff. And so it's more of somebody who says, are you committed to your business or not? Like, if you're committed, let's figure out how we can make this work for you. If not, just be honest with that. And so it's nice to have people who really hold that space for me and don't let me get into a whiny mode. Not that I do that often, but every once in a while it's like things just go a little sideways. And so it's nice to have people who are just like, nope, let's get you right back on track.
Let's talk about your business. Free marketing funnel quiz. Tell us more about it.
Yeah. So whenever I say marketing funnel to people, they usually either have no idea what that means, or they have this idea that it's like sales, sales, sales all the time. And so I always love for people to just understand, like, a marketing funnel doesn't look just one way. There's actually tons and tons of ways you can do a marketing funnel, which is why I put together that quiz. And then number two, I want them to experience what a marketing funnel is versus a sales funnel, which is usually what people are thinking of. And a sales funnel is just all about, cramming your offer down somebody's throat as fast as possible. A marketing funnel is not about that. It's about creating an audience. It's about engaging them. It's about helping them see that you're the person that they want to work with, or you're the business they want to work with. And so the best way to really do that is to let people experience it. And so I put together this quiz so you can, number one, figure out which marketing funnel is right for you. And then number two, you can experience it and you can say, I see how this, works. And you can go through the process and not have to think about, like, theoretically how this could work, but you can just experience it.
Where do we find this free marketing funnel quiz, and how can we get in contact with you?
Yeah, so the best way to find the quiz is to go to michellelevans.com/quiz, and it'll take you right to the quiz. You can take it and you can get your results. I'll even give you some video training on how to get started. And the best way to stay in contact with me, aside from taking the quiz where you'll get, my emails and stuff, is probably on my podcast, which is the Marketing Funnel Show. And on there, I dive into different marketing things. I bring on clients, I bring on customers, and I bring on experts who talk about how, marketing funnels can really work in your business. And so it just helps to make it a lot more real and to help people really figure out, how do I get this profit engine in my business so that I'm not constantly on that, where's my next client coming from roller coaster.
So, clan, there will be more from Michelle in a moment. If you are listening on one of the many podcasting platforms rather than my website and you are encouraged by Michelle's journey, go to onlinesuccessjourney.com for a bonus portion of the interview. The Online Success Journey is a wonderful membership community built for people searching for paths to success. We are one big clan and you can be part of this community for free. Once you have joined the clan, click on part 2 of Michelle's journey or over 100 other journeys that are available and learn how you can find the right path for your own online success journey. That's a wrap, clan. Remember, success is a journey. Patience and Michelle.
This is not the end of the journey. We hope you've enjoyed listening to part 1 and want to be sure you know there is a second part to this and every journey podcast at onlinesuccessjourney.com, filled with even more success tips, uplifting stories, and even a bit of fun. There are dozens of episodes only available to the members of the Online Success Journey clan. Check out the website and click on Join the Clan for more information. Patience would like to thank you for listening to this podcast, and she has a free audio gift for you at her website. Go to onlinesuccessjourney.com for instant access to this gift. Of course, you know that listening to the journeys of others helps each of us chart our own path, so make sure you're subscribed to be notified as each new interview is posted. There are so many ways to stay connected to the Online Success Journey and to listen in. And if you're enjoying the podcast, we appreciate your help in telling others. One of the best ways to share the benefit you get is to rate and review it at Stitcher and other sites by clicking the stars or completing the ratings form, by clicking thumbs up and leaving a comment on YouTube, or liking and sharing the podcast on social media. To review the podcast within iTunes, simply open iTunes to the podcast, click on Ratings and Reviews, then write a review. On behalf of Patience, and until next time, thanks once more for listening. It is our hope that this podcast will guide you on your own online success journey.